Welcome back to another video on ARK Survival Ascended Official PVE Valguero. In this video I'm going to beat Alpha Grendel, the boss on Valguero, solo. In my last video I talked about a solo strategy, and in this video we are doing that solo strategy. All the dinos for this strategy are just wild tamed, except for the Deinonychus that came from a stolen egg. As a boss team I'm bringing 3 Deinotherium that each have 15k HP, 500 to 600 melee and capped saddles. We got their blueprint from the Broodmother cave. I'm also taking 15 Theries with each 12 to 15k HP, 500 to 600 melee and capped saddles. Their blueprint we borrowed from an alliance that got it from a purple orbital with a ring. I'm also taking in a Deinonychus that I'll be riding with a spring drakeling on my shoulder. The Deinonychus is 3k health, 400 melee and a capped saddle. We borrowed this blueprint on our server that someone got from a yellow orbital with a ring in the snow. I also have cooked meat and wyvern milk for my Deinonychus, but more about that later. For this fight you need 4 artifacts: Brute, Gatekeeper, Destroyer and Crag. You also need 2 Gigahearts, 10 Sarco skins and Titan and Boa Venom, 15 Rex arms, Aloe brains and Archie claws. If you do not know how to get these artifacts, I also have videos on how to get each of those. Now, this video is completely a solo strat, but you will see a tribe mate of mine riding a Thery. I'm never going to fight completely alone in case I crash, because when you crash, you will lose your entire team if there's not an extra person to keep it rendered. So my tribe mate is there in case that happens. A little bit of a warning for Thery riders: their flag will get shredded by vultures. I recommend extra good flag and med brews. When we spawn into the fight, I make sure that the entire team is following 1 Deinotherium. Of course I get stuck, so bear with me. The reason I made my entire team follow 1 Deinotherium is because I like to whistle aggressive. Whenever the boss damage phase is over, I have my creatures on aggressive to take care of the Deinonychus and vultures. Once the boss spawns, I whistle them to the boss if necessary. Since they're all following 1 creature, they will all be close together. In another fight, we had a Thery quite far away from the team. It got swarmed by Deinonychus and died, so I like to keep everything close together. I whistled my Deinonychus on myself and let the 1 Deinotherium follow my Deinonychus. I'll be giving a lot of information here and then I'll just let the video play. The Grendel boss does bleed damage and has Deinonychus around that also do bleed damage. Having 124 saddles helps for the initial regular attacks and the pounds that the boss sometimes does when the red beams are on the floor. But other than that, you're 95% fighting against bleed damage. You might even be able to do this fight with prim saddles. I do recommend way more veggie cakes. Later in this boss fight I made a little boo-boo and it got really sketchy on my Deinonychus, even without getting bleed damage, because I had wyvern milk. Then you can see how much health you actually lose without the bleed. In this fight you gotta ignite the pots whenever they're glowing for the boss to come back. At the moment I'm looking at the pots where they are and I'm force feeding my Deinonychus. Deinonychus heal really quick on cooked meat. So we wait for a pot to glow. That's that red beam I was talking about when the boss does the pounds. You kinda wanna get your team away from this, but for me whistling passive, then whistling the entire team to the other side, it's just not worth it, so I let them tank the damage. Here comes another beam. And here you see one of those pots glowing. After you hit a pot, it's damage phase time until the boss jumps up and starts doing its pounces again. He will do pounces where you see the red beam. In this phase you can't do damage and you're better off taking out all the small Deinonychus until a new pot starts glowing. In the Gamma fight I constantly jumped off to ignite the pots, but you can just hit these pots with your melee attack. If you're solo, the boss might actually spawn on top of you. Just lure it back to your team and do your damage phase. Now this might sound a little bit easier than it is, because in the next phase I make a very big boo-boo and it almost went very badly. During our other fights, our Yuri got absolutely obliterated, and even with the Wyvern Milk it died. This is because Wyvern Milk has a cooldown. Hence why I decided to not take a Yuri but ride the Deinonychus myself for the bleed on the boss. This bleed speeds up the boss massively. In Gamma we did not take a bleeder and the fight took us over 20 minutes. Spring Drakeling is definitely recommended to use on the Deinonychus if you decide to ride that, because the Spring Drakeling helps with healing if you're not getting attacked. Like I said, I also had cooked meat in its inventory for quick force feeding, which you will see me do a lot in this fight, and Wyvern Milk to cancel the bleed. I used this when I got stuck in the team, which was very sketchy. I also got told that if you combine this with Bison Milk, you can prolong the timer of the Wyvern Milk. In this upcoming phase, I got stuck in my own team. I hit the pot and the boss spawned. I tried to whistle my team and go around the boss, but I got stuck in its feet. And then, oh, my Theory swarmed me. I quickly force-fed the Wyvern Milk to cancel all bleeds and I spammed my attack button as fast as I could. I figured the quicker the boss loses health, the quicker it'll jump up again. But then, I lost so much health, I started force-feeding while being in the cluster. And when I reached 400 health, the boss luckily jumped away and I was out. Prime example of what not to do. For the next phases, I waited till my team was there before I tried to wiggle myself in there to stack the bleeds on the boss. Deinonychus bleed stacks up to 5 times and like I said, it really speeds up the fight. But yeah, you gotta keep it alive. A little bit about the Deinotheriums. Deinotheriums also give an outgoing damage buff and incoming damage resistance. The cool thing about Deinotheriums is that they do these buffs even unridden. You can see these buffs in the top right corner. For a full Deinotherium buff you need 1 male and 3 females. I only brought 1 male and 2 females. The buff for outgoing damage is nice, but the reduced incoming damage buff probably doesn't do much since it's mostly bleed that you're trying to survive, and I don't think buffs work against this. I mentioned this very briefly at the start, but if you're going to be a Yuri, which I don't recommend, or a Theory Rider for example, bring enough flag. My tribe mate that came with me as a feel-safe got absolutely shredded on her Theory. Well, I did not get attacked by a single villager in this fight, so good flag and med brews are recommended. This is all the information I got on this fight. I will let the video play out in its entirety and give some more information about health loss etc. at the end of the video. Enjoy! Also, if this video is helpful, please leave a like or a comment, it helps out loads and it tells me if I'm doing a good job or I have to maybe change something in my videos. Thanks in advance. There we go. Alpha Grendel defeated in the solo strategy recorded on official. From Alpha you get 520 elements, the Alpha head and a flag. The Theries and Dinotheriums used up about 15 veggie cakes out of the 27. I hope this video was helpful and you get to defeat Alpha Grendel yourself. Thank you so much for watching. A like or a comment is highly appreciated and I'd love to catch you in the next one.